After 13 years of waiting, he finally comes back with with the follow-up we've been anticipating for since 2009, as well as the beginning of a line of sequels that'll be happening every other year. But hey, this is James Cameron. If he can pull this off just like what he did with this and the original, I think we're in good hands.
On a flying thing. Get the snow blind game. Pikachu, Chickapoo, gotta heat on the phone is string. Over the parts. Once the magic starts. Do you really wanna taste that? What's going on must come down. Do you really wanna taste that? Baby, you're losing ground. You soon become the
Hey guys, Movie Fan 2002 here, and I'm here today to review the long-awaited 13-year follow-up to the highest-grossing film of all time and James Cameron's passion project, Avatar: The Way of Water. So, Avatar: The Way of Water tells the story taking place more than a decade after the events of the original film. Seems accurate considering it's been more than a decade since the release of the original movie, where Jake and Neytiri are now like living their lives in Pandora, where everything's going pretty fine at first, and they have a family. Things are going nice and smoothly until the humans have returned and pretty much destroyed the forest, and they've been battling against them. And to make matters even worse, Quarach comes back, but now in an avatar body, and they explain that actually because he gave up his consciousness to be put into this avatar state, just into his avatar of a Na'vi, just in case if he doesn't make it out. And because of all this, of all the attacks, and with Quarach back, Jake has no choice but, along with his family, to leave the forest tribe and head to the water tribe that are far away from Quarach, so they can't be discovered. To which they decide to stay there as new relatives of the water tribe's chief, as well as learning their ways of waters. But of course, as always, Quarach had discovered them, and now it's up to them to fight back against. So now it's up for Jake, Neytiri, their kids, Loak and Kiri, and the members of the tribes to come together in order to fight back against the humans once again. Anyways, like I said before, this movie took 13 years in the making. Because, you see, it all began back in 2006. Okay, it didn't really begin back in 2006, but James Cameron was interviewed, would you make a sequel to Avatar? And he said, yes, I would, but that would depend on how much the original movie would make on its original release. Well, I think it's safe to say, considering the reputation it got to become the highest grossing film of all time, the project was greenlit. Anyways, it was originally set for a 2014 release date at first, I think. Anyways, but as time moved on, the effects were becoming much more sophisticated. He wanted to make sure it can be top-notch for its follow-up, as well as going through numerous challenges in order to get it right. Then, and of course, when the pandemic came, troubles had to come into full swing. But after all those years, and especially with getting the right people to do do the acting, especially bringing back the older actors from the previous film, including Sam Sigourney. I think that's his name. No, wait, Sam Worthington. I think that's his name. Um, Zoe Saldana and the actor who played Korach. And but they unfortunately couldn't bring back James Horner to do the score due to his passing in 2015. So they got another composer who did the score for the film, which sounds closely to James Horner in my opinion. So now here we are. Now I know what you're all thinking. What are my thoughts on the original Avatar? Well, I actually did decide to rewatch it in preparation for this film, which was the first time like in years since I last seen it. And I will admit, it actually was a lot better than I remembered it being. Because as a kid, I thought the movie was okay, but I didn't really remember much about it. But now, as I'm older, I actually really like it. Yes, it does have some flaws, like the story is basically Blue Pocahontas, like with a person from the outside joining this native tribe and falling in love with the daughter of the chief, and ultimately leading him to join their side in order to save the day. And the villain wasn't all that interesting. But what saves it from being what saves it is great performances from an amazing score, very likable characters, including Jake and Neytiri, phenomenal world building, and of course, the spectacular effects that still looks great to this day. The effects are just spectacular, and the world of Pandora is just like a breathing environment. You can understand why the Na'vi want the Sky People to leave, because they want their home to be safe. So I actually will admit, I will say I actually was intrigued to see what James Cameron had in store for its sequel. Plus, it finally gave me a chance to watch one of his films on the big screen for once. Kind of like with next year, where I'm going to be seeing an Indiana Jones movie on the big screen. So, anyways, I saw the movie in theaters in IMAX 3D. Oh, yes, I'm going to say this right now. If you're planning on seeing the film, go for the IMAX 3D screening. I am not kidding you. So, what did I think of the movie? Well, to be perfectly honest, this might come as a surprise to some people, but I loved it. In fact, it was even better than its predecessor, and more better than I was hoping for. I thought the movie was going to be like better than the first film, but it's like still good. But this, it like raised the bar very high. I was just so freaking amazed with this one. And that is like a huge compliment to James Cameron. Really. So I'm just going to say this now. James Cameron, I'm thanking you for what you did. You did an amazing job with this film. Okay, so what are my pros that I have with this film? Well, for starters, I should possibly say this first. This will contain spoilers. So, if for those who do not want to be spoiled, please wait till you have seen the movie. Okay, those who have seen the movie are still here? Good. Okay. First thing that I really love about this film is definitely that they fixed some of the issues that I have with it. One, the story is much better this time around. You see, in the first like I said before, the first movie's story was kind of, well, not bad. In fact, it was executed very well, but it was still mainly just, again, similarly to Ferngully or Pocahontas or Dancing with Wolves, like those films that came out back in the 90s. Way of Water, however, has a somewhat more original story. Okay, there are some elements from the first film that are brought in here, like Korach being the main villain, and like these few people joining their new tribe and have to learn their ways in order to fit in with them. But I consider them more as coincidences and more crucial to the plot. Besides, the movie is more of a survival film than a war movie, and I think it works very well. Plus, also, it gives you time to at least connect more with the characters and get to know about them. and you get to care for them a lot more here than you did in the first film. Well, okay, Jake and Neytiri were amazing in the first movie, and I still think they are great here, but I think they are developed a lot more here, along with the new characters, which I'll get more to that but very later. And they even made Quaritch a much better villain here. I'll get more into him specifically later, but I just really am glad that they actually made him like less of a stupid villain and more of like an actual threat to Jake and his family. Oh, and I also like how this movie really felt like James Cameron, because I know this has been like on development for a whole decade, but even after Disney bought Fox, this film did not felt like anything like Disney was meddling with the film. This movie is 100% James Cameron. So like everything in this film, like through the script, the dialogue, like that everything was like 100% pure done by James Cameron. Like he was still having the vision for what he wants, and I'm glad for that. And it better stay that way for like the next 3 movies that are coming out. So yeah, great job, James Cameron. Yeah, just really great job. Speaking of which, while it isn't a comedy, there are some moments when the movie can at least bring out some funny moments. They don't happen as much, but at least they do know when to lighten the mood a little. Especially with Spider, who I know for some people can maybe get a bit annoying, but honestly, he isn't really that bad of a character, and I kind of liked him. I mean, he wasn't that bad really. Plus, I did like his arc throughout the film, where he had a bit of a conflicting scenario where where does he truly belong? With the Sully family, or does he belong like with his real father, who is actually Quaritch? Yeah, because it is stated that he was actually born like around the same time that Quaritch was killed at the end of the first film. Yeah, I thought, I just really I thought it wasn't that bad of a character. I thought it was pretty good. Another thing I love about this movie is the world building. The movie is they definitely continue to expand the world of Pandora and go far beyond the forests of Pandora. Where in this film, of course, the first like 30 to 40 minutes or possibly hour feels like it's set like in the forest of Pandora, but in the sequel, but then like after that, like the remaining of the movie is like set in the water area, and I thought it looked very beautiful, and it just looks so beautiful. Of course, I'll be getting to that element later, but but you can definitely tell how they like create this world, like where like the ocean's like their home, and like how they're able to like communicate, and even actually like I can actually able to like breathe underwater, which I think works very well. So yeah, they really do a great job when it comes to the world building aspect again. Speaking and as well with the emotional aspects, this film definitely hits you with the emotional aspects, like especially like at the beginning. There'll be moments when you'll feel happy. There'll be times when you'll feel angry, especially at the humans. There'll be times when you'll feel sad. I mean, this definitely works very well, and you get this wide range of emotions. I mean, I think that works very well with this film. And like a great example of this is like near the end of the movie, like when like the oldest brother, I forgot who his name was, like of the Sully family, dies, and like Jake and Neytiri and everyone else are just completely sad that he's dead. Like and it felt really sad for him, because like I thought it was like a very supportive older brother, and it was really sad to see him die. Yeah, anyways, he did it. Yeah, it really felt very emotional. Yes. Another emotional scene is actually at the beginning, like when the humans returned. They were like burning most of the forest, like because and it was just really sad because like you're like, oh my god, like because of Korach, he's like this is like you just hate the humans. You want to see them get beaten, which they somewhat do in this film, but obviously again we have 3 more movies on their belts, and Korach actually doesn't die yet because James Cameron knows like what he has in store. I think Korach is not gonna die again until the pretty much near the end of the 5th movie. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Now let's talk about the characters, and we have a lot of characters to talk about here. This movie decided to do the Lion King sequel route, and like have their children be the main characters and not the main characters from the first film. That's not to say they don't have huge roles, as Jake is, while he's not an overprotective father, he is still definitely a more determined father and still wants to keep his family safe, especially when the humans return in this film. And he's willing to do anything about it. Also, he does know when he has to step up, especially that there can be times when being hard on him, especially on Loak, which works very well. And I'm sure that many fathers can kind of relate to him when watching the movie. As for Neytiri, she doesn't have a huge role in this film. In fact, she's mostly on the side, but she does have her fair share of moments and does know when to help out with her mother. Some of the other characters from the first film, like Neytiri's mom, are not really in the movie that much, and like the couple of scientists, but it's good to see them like for the time being. And of course, there's Korach, or at least the avatar of him, because his consciousness got into it, like after because they send him back to Earth, like they send like his consciousness back to Earth into that body, like not long before he died. Also, the way how he woke up was similarly to how Jake woke up in his avatar body at the start of the first film. Pretty unique if you ask me. Yeah. Anyways, he's actually a bit more sympathetic here with him being a father now, and I think it works very well, as we do get to see more of a more human side to him, at least more human than we did in the first movie, in my opinion. And it works very well, and he actually still makes you hate him for what he's still doing, especially now he's trying to kill Jake Sully. Moving into the new characters, let's look into Jake's family, more specifically his children. There's Kiri, who's actually somewhat related to Grace, Sigourney Weaver's character. And yes, I know Sigourney Weaver does play Kiri in this movie, but honestly, she does such a good job that that's hardly noticeable, and it works very well in my opinion. Kiri just did a really fantastic job. It's just a really fantastic character, and I really like her. And I could debatably say she's the main character of the movie, along with Loak, which we'll be getting to him in a bit. Yeah, Kiri is really nice, and I just really like her for how she truly is. Sure, she is like a teenager where she can like get a bit overplayed, but honestly, but then again, we've all been there before, and I actually don't mind it. Plus, also, you definitely do feel for her in many scenes during the movie. Same thing can be said with Loak. He does, where he's trying to do the best he can as a son, and is a bit of like a rogue member, as he does go out and he does try things differently, but it does work very well, and he does get into his more of his own environment when he moves into moves into the Way of Water. Also, I actually like how it's actually Loak and Kiri actually teaching Jake and Sully like how to be in the ways of water during the movie's climax, rather than the parents. It's actually a nice reversal, and it does show them that they actually are very supportive of their own parents, which I think works very well. And I think it's like a realistic depiction, despite them being CGI characters. As for some of the other characters in Jake's family, there's 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 Took, who is this Took Tree. I think that's how you say her name. Who's like the youngest daughter, and is like a and is a cute character for who she truly is. And Spider, who, like I said, it had a conflicting relationship of where he truly belongs. Which, by the end of the film, he decides to stay with the Sully family. Just moving into the Water Tribe, there's Tonrari. I think I said his name right. Yeah, sorry, some of these names are really hard for me to pronounce. Where he's like the disciplined leader, just kind of like with Jake at the start of the film. Ronal, who's the wife of Tonrari, and he is actually a very pivotal character, and actually did break up. And her actress Kate Winslet broke a record by holding her breath underwater for over 7 minutes when filming a scene for the movie, which I thought was pretty cool in my opinion. So, job well done. Also, the children, who I forgot who their names were, but I do remember that one of them doesn't like Loak at first, but then warms up to him later on in the movie, and the female love interest, who does share the similar role to Neytiri, like in the first film, but I did buy their relationship, and they do work out very well. But of course, I know what you are all gonna be asking of me right now. Come on, we want to hear you talk about it. What did you think of the visuals of this film? Are they as good as the original movie? To say that they're as good would be kind of a little bit derivative, because honestly, they are even better than the first film. Like I said, this movie is better than the first film, and that implies definitely on the visual department. You can understand why James Cameron took years to make this, because this movie looks like a visual marvel, and it truly is. Of course, the world of Pandora definitely still looks gorgeous to look at, and it is just so amazing. Also, I just love how the designs of, like, how they have the forest and water tribe creatures and Na'vi look different for each other. Where the forests are completely blue and have yellowish green eyes, the forest people the water people are more of an aquamarine with a bluish aquamarine like color. Sorry, I don't know what kind of color that is, but they still do look very good. Anyways, what else? What else did I like in the? As for another thing I liked in the visual department was also like how they were able to make everything look realistic, and of course they definitely do that with the first film, but this film continues that, where nothing looks fake, and this is especially the case when they're underwater, because believe me, everything underwater in this film looks so real that you look so real, and as well as the sea creatures, they even look amazing as well. They designed them like to the fullest potential, and wow, it's hard to imagine how great it is, and it's just so beautiful to look at. Yes, all in all, this is such a beautiful looking movie, and you can definitely see why. I mean, with James Cameron, he definitely nailed it in the VFX department once again, especially when you're underwater. And like I said, I saw this movie in IMAX 3D, and it just looks so amazing in IMAX 3D. So like I said, if you're gonna see this movie, see it in IMAX 3D. You will not be disappointed. And speaking of the visuals, this leads to possibly the best asset of the whole film, the final act of the movie. And in my opinion, it was insane. It truly what the movie was building towards, and it was such an epic finale. It was epic. It had you at the edge of your seat. All the water, with all the water stuff, the ships, all the sea creatures. It felt so real, and it didn't feel like humans battling CGI characters. It felt like they were battling like real aliens riding on like those waterless pterodactyls, and they were underwater. And when someone dies, it felt like they were being killed. So it definitely does show that that this wasn't CG you were looking at. You were looking at epic, fantastic effects. So yeah, all in all, this was just amazing. So yeah, at the end of the day, in my opinion, I loved Avatar: The Way of Water. It was such a phenomenal movie, and I definitely say that you should all check it out. Even if you guys weren't as big as the first film, I do think it is still worth watching. So yeah, and I think it is such a fantastic film to be experienced. So yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm definitely going to give Avatar: The Way of Water, in my opinion, a 10 out of 10. I thought it was such a fantastic movie, and it's definitely worth seeing. And like I said, please see it in IMAX 3D. It's worth for it. You will not be disappointed. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for my thoughts on Avatar: The Way of Water. What did you guys think of the movie? Did you absolutely love it? Think it was worth 13-year wait? Or were you guys kind of disappointed with it and just thought, I just think the first film's better and it should have just been one movie? Yeah. Anyways, comment down below and let me know. And if you want to stay tuned for more videos coming your way, all you have to do is click that subscribe button down below. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. And until next time, peace and take care.